So, the class that I've got planned for tonight is the squatting class. And I can go universal groan. I told you would like it. Sometimes it's better to just tell me you've got loads of fatigue and all you want to do is lie down. You missed your chance. Yeah, so this class is the squatting class. So we're going to look at the various different ways of squatting. And also kind of prepping for squatting as well. So kind of, prepping and doing things that can help you. We're not built for squatting in the West. We are built for it, we just don't do it. Whereas in a lot of Asian countries and also in the African countries, Middle Eastern countries, they squat all the time. It's how they sit. They sit on the floor and they squat around the fires. And so, for them, it's much easier to get into these squatting positions. Whereas we sit in chairs all the time. And so when we come into squatting position, it's a bit of a shock to find that the hips don't actually articulate in the way that they perhaps would if we'd had more different shapes to make out of them. Why is it important to squat in pregnancy?
Gets the baby into a good position?
Not necessarily. And actually, if the baby's in the wrong position, you can bed them down a little bit more. So, that's maybe not a good kind of thing to focus on. It's not getting the baby into the position.
Does it open the hips?
Sorry?
Does it open the hips?
Yeah, opens the hips.
I remember you saying it was good for getting the waters to break.
Yeah, I got my waters to break.
Yeah.
I was only 26 weeks at the time, and they said it wasn't the best. But
That's why I might not.
That's why so you're not going to squat today. Yeah. I mean, it may or may not. I mean, there's lots of things that can make the waters break, and sometimes they don't break at all. It's really common actually for waters to not break until the midwife breaks them during labour. That's really common. This is interesting, isn't it? What do you see at every TV programme, every comedy, every film? What happens when a woman goes into labour? What's the first thing that happens?
It's like a big gush.
Big gush. It's not a gush, it's a trickle. I tell you what, it's a trickle. You think you're weeing yourself. It's a bizarre sensation. Has anybody else had?
No, I had to be popped twice.
You were popped, okay.
No, I didn't know whether I was wetting myself or whether they actually had broken.
Yeah,
it
it does
really
feel like
really a trickle. It wasn't a gush at all.
Yeah, so that's the other kind of. It's all for dramatic effect. Everything you see on telly is all for dramatic effect, and that is not what happens. And it does not explode like that unless you have them, because what the midwife will do if you're delivering your baby and your waters haven't broken, you're pushing through your vagina, your baby, and all of the waters and the sac, which is a lot more to push through than just a baby on its own. So what will often happen is, as you start pushing your baby down through the birth canal, the water and the sac will present itself, and the midwife will be able to feel that. And she will probably say to you, would you like me to break the waters? Yeah, and you've got a choice. You can say no, or you can say yes, please. And if you have your waters broken by the midwife, they use like a sharp crocheting hook, and then you get a bit of a pop and a gush, because it's a lot more of a kind of a break, if you like. It's a bigger space, because they kind of pop it with this crocheting hook. But yeah, in my case, I just thought I was weeing myself, and the more I squeezed my legs, and then I was thinking, oh no, I'm weeing myself, and then after a while, you just think, no,
It's not yellow.
And it's been going on for a while, and this just doesn't feel like a wee.
Sorry, what colour is it then?
It's like a milky colour.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, mine would just look like water. So I was sort of like, what's going on? I was in denial about it. I was actually sitting in the cinema, because I was on maternity leave, and my little boy was 2 weeks overdue, so it was like 2 weeks after my due date, and I was like, the only thing I could do was just go and sit in the cinema. And I was like, I'm wetting myself in the cinema, this is not nice. And then,
You have to go and tell someone.
No, it was like but it was so much of a trickle that it wasn't like it didn't go on the seat or anything. Just like went through my clothes, and then I went home and I was like, this is still trickling. And like a couple of hours later, I said to my husband got home from work, I was like, I think we might need to ring the hospital. And he was like, why? And I was like, I think my water's broken, but I wasn't having any contractions or anything. So yeah, it went on like that for quite a while.
And that's the other thing that can happen. So your waters can break like mine did, and like yours did, without any contractions. That can happen. And once that happens, if you don't go into spontaneous labour, you're on a bit of a ticking clock, because you now don't have a hermetically sealed, biologically safe environment for your baby. They're prone to infections at that point, so you're normally given about 24 hours. And anything after that, it's detrimental to your baby to stay in there. I held on for 5 weeks because my son, was 26 weeks. So we didn't want to go into labour at that point, but at that point they keep you in hospital and they stuff you full of antibiotics and steroids. And then at 31 weeks, my placenta started to fail, and then I just had a C-section at that point. My son now is 6 foot and built like an outhouse. He was this tiny little thing. People thought he was a doll. When we took him out, he was 3 pounds born. And when we were taking him out, I always remember people were going, they thought he was a doll, because he was certain people unless you've seen a premature baby, don't realise actually how small they are. And because he was fighting fit, because he'd had all of these steroids, he didn't really need to be hospitalised for very long. We weren't in the neonatal for very long, to be honest, only about 3 weeks. And he was like, no, I'm going to go. So they don't keep you in hospital anymore because of the MRSA. You're far more at risk from getting an infection, but they will give you antibiotics depending on how far you are in your pregnancy. Steroids if your baby. I think it's the last couple of weeks. The lungs are the last thing to develop, which is why in premature babies, they're usually fully formed in terms of all their organs. It's just the surfactant on the lungs, and so the steroids are just that last little bit. But if your baby's over a certain term, a certain number of weeks, you probably wouldn't even need the steroids. And if you're 42 weeks, you definitely wouldn't need the steroids. So that's the thing. The water's breaking. Yeah. But the statistics show that you are much more likely to actually have your water. You all right there? It'll move around, and do you want me to shut it?
No, fine.
You're basking. It might not last for long. Make the most of it. Statistically more likely actually for your waters to not break before you go into labour. And the most common indicator of labour is contractions. Yeah. So don't wait for your waters to break, because it's not really the main indicator. Obviously, if your waters have broken, something's happened, but you may or may not have contractions. But the contractions that's the key thing. Because if your contractions have started, it means that all of the hormones have kicked in. So what starts labour is the cocktail of hormones, and the theory is that your baby releases those hormones. So your baby decides, right, I've had enough of this now, there's no space in here. And so they send hormones that go through the placenta, and then they go into your brain, into your kind of mission control, hypothalamus pituitary gland. And then you release a cocktail of hormones that gets labour started. Anyone know what they are? What's the cocktail of hormones? Even if you just get one, it's fine. Oxytocin, main one. Oxytocin, that's what makes your uterus contract. That's what they give you synthetically if you are induced. Nice one. Anything else? Endorphins. These are your body's natural way of actually reducing the discomfort of the contractions and of the labour. Anything else? Adrenaline. I don't know if it's adrenaline or cortisol. Not sure. It's one of the two. But yes, it's for a boost of energy. You've got to get going now. And so you get a boost of energy. Anything else? You didn't think you were going to have an exam?
prolactin in my head.
Prolactin. I don't know if that comes in. I think it comes in afterwards.
Yeah.
I think it comes in afterwards. I thought you were going to say another one that starts with pro.
Now I'm missing progesterone.
I think there is. I think there is progesterone, but I'm thinking of prostaglandins.
Oh.
That's your cervix dilator, and that's what they sometimes give you in the pessary. That's in the pessary that they sometimes give you to soften your cervix. And relaxin. So that hormone that's been softening everything during your pregnancy, that you get another big dump of relaxin as part of that cocktail of hormones. That kind of heralds the arrival of your labour, because you still need to soften and open everything. So there's quite a lot going on there, isn't there? There's quite a lot of hormones, and yet when you are induced, you only get artificial oxytocin. So you're missing a big spectrum of actually what the body will naturally give you to be able to birth your baby. And I don't know why that's been the case, why they've never ever gone beyond just the oxytocin to contract the uterus. Why they don't give the full complement, I don't know. Cost. Yeah. Or I was going to say it's just the fact that it's men. That's the patriarchy. Okay, so but that was a different tangent. So the question, coming back to the question, is why do we want to learn how to squat?
Is it about for later stages, like the pushing stage? Once it's gone into the pelvis?
Delivery posture. Yeah, it is the best posture for delivery, bar none. So once your cervix is dilated and you're in the last stage of your labour, and this is the much shorter stage, 2 hours maximum, sometimes half an hour, very often just half an hour. That's the pushing of the baby through the birth canal. That happens once your cervix is dilated. And the best way to do that is actually getting into a squatting position, because it opens the hips up in the biggest available space that you can have, but also you get a lot of purchase, as my brother-in-law called it, purchase, that kind of feeling of being able to bear down much more successfully than you can in any other position. And that's why we're going to do squatting today. There's quite a few of you now nearing the end of your journey, so I thought now would be a really good time actually to have another look at squatting. So as I mentioned before, in a lot of the classes, most of the hospitals now, they have equipment to support you in a squatting position, so you don't have to free stand squatting. But it's a good idea to kind of understand the process of it and actually what your body has to get into a pertinent squat. Because even though you've got the equipment there, if you're not kind of sure of what a squat is, you might tuck under, if that makes any sense. You might just collapse into the support, tuck your tailbone under, and then you've lost the whole purpose of being able to squat. So this will kind of help you to understand that process, that physiology of the squat. Okay, that sounds alright. If you get tired halfway through, let me know, and we'll just park it and I'll give you a lie down. Are you okay with the windows open? It was quite hot and stuffy in here actually. Just give me a shout. I imagine once the sun goes in, it will get a bit chilly. So. Okay, is that all good? Anybody got any questions? So, we're going to start bringing the soles of the feet together. So, this is a way of just allowing the hips to begin this process of opening. Are you all comfortable here? So there's a couple of reasons why this might not suit you. One of them might be if you've got any hip issues. So then you've got a couple of options. You can cross your legs and miss this out altogether, or you can have a couple of bricks, and I've got some spare ones, and you can pop them underneath your thighs. If it's just one side, you just pop up one side. If it's both sides, if it's only a small amount, you can probably get away with a couple of blocks. Would anybody like to support themselves into their butterfly pose? It's called butterfly pose. No, all good. So it gives you quite a nice stretch on the inner groin as well, doesn't it? So you can probably feel that stretch on the inner thigh. And then we're just going to hold that for a couple of breaths. You can hold your feet or hold your ankles, or if you feel more comfortable, you might actually want to lean back. You want to lean back into your hands if that gives you a little bit more support. Also, the other issue with this, if you've got SPD, symphysis pubis dysfunction, this can sometimes not be suitable. So if you think it's pulling a little bit much on your pubis, then again just change and maybe come into this position instead. So that's also another counter intuitive move. So if you're comfortable, then just allow your spine to lengthen. Feel a very subtle pressing down into the ground with your thighs. And then just feeling a gentle rising up through your belly, through your spine, and through the crown of your head. And just take a moment to observe how you feel this evening. And just take a check-in to your body. Notice how your body feels. And just highlighting for yourself any changes that might have happened since the last time you were in the class. So quite often during pregnancy, the changes come intermittently. So quite often they are related to a growth spurt or to a hormonal activity, and these are not a regular drip feed. They come in peaks and troughs. And then just tune into your breath to feel the flow of your breath in and out. And then when you next breathe out, we're going to make the ha sound. So this is one of our birthing breaths. So we're just going to whisper on the exhalation. And we're going to start to do some simple movements with the legs. So on your next inhalation, just allow your butterfly wings, your knees to rise up just to wherever you're comfortable. And then using your ha breath, gently let them drop all the way back down. I'm going to do that a few times. So breathing in, let the knees rise up. And then when you finish the next exhalation, you can just let the knees drop back down. Now if you've had enough of butterfly pose, if you feel that you need to come out of it, then please do. You can just come into cross-legged position, or you can stretch the legs out wide, so it's entirely up to you. Or you can stay in butterfly pose if you're happy. So as you next breathe in, you're going to press your chest forward, so whatever position you're in. So you're not rounding the back, you're actually pushing the chest forwards. And then as you breathe out, you're going to push the spine backwards. So you're going to breathe in, press your chest forwards. And as you breathe out, press your chest backwards. Just do that a few more times. So this is almost like a seated cat pose, where we're rounding back and then extending and lengthening back. And then when you're finished, at last, exhale, you can come to the centre. And then bringing your hands onto your knees in whatever position you're sitting, you're going to roll the spine around. So press the chest to the right, circle it around to the floor, press it to the left, and then roll it behind you. So you're making a circle with your chest. Just gently easing yourself round. You can stay in control of your breath, so working with your ocean breath, you're just maintaining that little bit of control over the muscles in the throat. And then can we go the other way? So now just changing the direction. And just rolling around in the opposite way. And then just coming back to the centre. And then using your hands, just very gently bring the knees up at the foot, quite tight on the inner legs. And then just lean back into your hands. Take your feet as wide as your mat. And then rock the knees over to one side. And then rock the knees over to the other side. And just do that a few times and it should feel quite nice across the inner leg when you're bringing the leg inwards towards the floor. So this is counter pose to what we've been doing. And then you can stretch the legs straight out in front. Maybe just give them a little bit of a bounce. And maybe roll them in and out. So I'm just going to show you what we're going to do next, and then I will unleash it upon you. So this is dog up the lamppost and tiger combo. Now I know why I need to show you. So in addition to working with our squatting positions, we also want to create a little bit of strength around the pelvis as well. So this is one of our pelvic girdle strengthening moves. I think that it helps me if I bring the legs together, because we're going to take one leg away. At least you've got one leg in the middle, if that makes any sense, rather than having the knees here and then picking one leg up and then you don't feel very centered. So have the legs together. So this is dog up the lamppost. We lift the knee. And then we lower it down. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Say what you see. So dog at the lamppost. And a little bit like the clamshell we did last time. You want to keep the hips fairly static. So what you don't want to do, if I come backwards, what you don't want to do is do this. Just see, that's a hip lift, and it's a nice stretch for the back. I'm twisting my lower back, but there's nothing happening in the hips. So you actually want that, and then that works the glutes. That's really working my buttock muscles. So that is a better way of doing that practice. So we do that. So we do one of them, and then we do a tiger lift. So then we just lift the knee up, and this is quite a nice stretch with the front of the belly. So we bend the knee, and I'll come sideways so that you can see. So we do dog at the lamppost, and then we keep the knee bent, but we lift the toes to the ceiling, and we lower down. And then we do the same on the other side. So it's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And we do the same on the other side. Then we do a dog. So we've got a dog in here. We've got a dog, normal dog, not the lamppost. So then we come into down facing dog. Have a little stretch through the legs. And then when you feel ready, you can come back down. Do the whole sequence again. How's that sound? Okay, so making sure you've got space behind you for the leg to come out and to lift up, and also making sure you've got space to the side of you to get up the lamppost. So if you're close to the wall, just make sure you've got enough space there, Catherine, to get your knee out to the side, and also Josie, no. Sarah, sorry, I will get your names eventually. Yeah, just make sure, because those of you that are near the wall, you do need to make sure you've got width to get the knee up. Okay, so finding your ocean breath, bringing the knees together so you've got a stable base for your posture. And then slow, steady breath. And as you breathe in, lift the right knee out to the side. Keep the hips level. Feel that work in your glutes. And then exhale, bring the knee back down. Now on the inhale, take the right heel up to the ceiling into your tiger pose. So a little bit of a stretch with the quad. And then exhale and bring the knee down. And then the left side, inhale, dog at the lamppost on the left side. Remember to keep the hips as level as you can. Exhaling. And then inhale, tiger. So now lifting the knee up to the ceiling, stretch the toes to the ceiling. And exhale, come down. Now tuck your toes under, stretch back towards your heels, stretch the arms out in front, and then press back into downward facing dog. And you might want to kind of play around here, just finding what is your most comfortable position. And then you can bring the knees all the way back down to the ground. And then we're going to do that once more on each side. So I'm going to let you do that on your own, so that you can work with your own breathing rhythm. So you're going to do dog at the lamppost, in breath, out breath, tiger, in breath, out breath, same on the other side. So knee out to the side first of all, lifting the knee up to the lamppost, and then on the second one you're lifting the knee up to the ceiling. And then do the same on the other side. And just notice how that feels in the hips. We're just getting some strength into the hips. And then once you've done that, you can come back into downward facing dog again. And then the knees can come all the way back down. And you're just going to sit back on your heels and give the wrists a little bit of some stretching. And then coming up off your heels, so you're giving your circulation a bit more of a chance to move. And then what's quite nice to release the wrist is to roll the backs of your hands around, and then the fronts of the hands. So the wrists, so back of your wrists come together, and then the front of your wrists come together. So kind of rolling the wrists around. That's quite a nice release where you've been stretching and supporting your weight with your wrists. Okay, so a little bit of strength work. You're going to take the right leg back behind you. So come onto your all fours. Make sure you've got space behind you. And then just stretch the right leg away from you. Tuck your toes under and push the heel away. So kind of a little stretch into that calf muscle. So again, really good for cramp. And then just lightly stretch the chest forwards. And then take the left arm away. So work with your ha breath. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. If you're feeling brave and strong, you can lift the right leg up as well. But if you're towards the end of your pregnancy, you might want to give that a miss. So 3 ha breaths. And then hand down, knee down. And then take the left leg back behind you, tuck the toes under, push the heel away, lengthen into the left leg and just feel the calf muscle gently easing itself out. Notice how it feels, if there's some tightness there. And then take the right arm out in front. And if you feel strong enough, lift the left leg up as well, and then 3 hard breaths. And then release the hand, lower the leg, roll the spine to the ceiling, make some space between your knees for your baby. And then sink your hips all the way back to your heels. And stretch the arms out in front. See if you can really draw your baby towards the floor. Draw the chest towards the floor. Just feel that really nice lengthening in the lower back. Take a few gentle breaths here. And then just walk the hands all the way back. And then you're going to come and stretch the legs out in front. So we're going to stretch the outside of the hips. We're doing a lot of compression here, a lot of contraction with our squatting. So now we're going to stretch the other way. So we're going to take the right leg and bring it over the top and walk it around as far as you can around to the left side. So this should give you quite a nice stretch on the outer hip and the outside of the thigh. Some of you may be able to lean onto the left side and bring the left leg under as well. So you're stacking one leg on top of the other. So there may be some tightness in the hip that prevents you from doing that, or it actually might be your baby. So if you're towards the end of your pregnancy, actually getting both legs up there is more to do with lack of space rather than what's happening in your hips. And we're just going to hold that for a couple of breaths, just feeling that stretch in the outsides of the hips. And then we're just going to do a little straw breath. So we're going to draw the breath in through the lips as if we are whistling. And then do the same on the out breath, so blow the breath out as if you are whistling. So on the in breath, as if you're drawing the breath in through a straw. And same on the out breath. So this is another of our birthing breaths. This is really calming, the straw breath. But it's also quite cooling if you do the inhale variation. You don't have to do the inhale variation, you can just do the out breath. But if you are feeling quite hot and bothered, then this kind of sucking in through the straw is a really good way of cooling down the system. And at the end of your next exhalation, very gently undo the legs, and then move over and bounce. And then left leg over. So I'm going to bring the left heel as far round as you can towards the right buttock. And then lean over towards the right, and some of you may be able to get the right leg underneath as well. And again, just working with that straw breath. So drawing the breath in and out. end of the next exhalation, you just gently undo legs and give a little bounce. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of thigh strengthening. So you might want to lean back into your hands. Just press your right toes forwards and then press the left toes forwards. And do that again. So you can kind of do them in opposition to each other. It's very straightforward. Now lift your heels off the floor. And then you start to find the shins, the quads, all having to kick in. So that might be a different experience. And then relax. And then you're going to lift the whole of your right leg off the ground and rotate the ankle. And then rotate it the other way. And lower down. And then same on the other side, lift the leg, completely off the floor, rotate the ankle. And in the opposite direction. And lower down, and lift bounce. Okay, let's have a look at some squatting preparation. So just ease yourself all the way around. Come up onto your chest. So we're going to come in and out of a deep squat position. Now there are a few contraindications for this. So some of them are, you don't want your waters to break and you're in the later stages of your pregnancy, then give this one a miss. Maybe we'll lie down or just watch everybody else. And the other one is low-lying placenta. It's known as placenta previa. Now you will know if you've got this because it's picked up quite early on, because it's a very serious it's a serious condition in the sense if you go into spontaneous labour it can have very bad outcomes. So it's one of the things they check very early on, the position of your placenta. If the placenta is occluding your cervix, it means your baby can't come out because the placenta's in the way. So you can see it's quite a serious issue. And you'll have a C-section and you'll be booked in for your C-section and they'll book you in quite early to make sure that you don't go into spontaneous labour. But as I said, you will know this because you'd have been told this at your very first scan. So if you have placenta previa, you don't do deep squats because you're putting pressure onto the placenta, which is feeding your baby, and you don't want that. But I don't think anyone's got that because it should come up on your medical form that you give me, and nobody has. So you're all good. You're all good. So another contraindication can sometimes be symphysis pubis dysfunction, so this SPD. And SPD is a bit of a funny one because some women find that some things hurt more than others, and actually some things help more than others. So I will leave that up to you. So if you come into the squat and you think, oh no, then you come out and you know squatting's not for you, and then you maybe do some of the other things, the strengthening things like clamshell that we did last time. Okay. So with all that in hand, come onto all fours, and then to come into a good low squat, you need to take your feet quite wide. So imagine you're taking your feet slightly wider than your bum, and then keep the toes tucked under. Tuck your toes under. Yeah, that's it. You're not going to get into a squat there. And then all you're going to do is just walk your hands back until the knees lift off the floor, and then you're going to walk your hands back. So we're not even going to be there very long. We're just going to have a little play around. How does that feel? So we're going to come up, lift the knees, and then walk back down. Okay? So this is your easy exploration coming into a squat. So if you're not used to squatting and it all feels a bit tight, carry on doing this. And maybe have a little play at home as well of just doing, 5 or 6 of these. If you're comfortable here and you think, oh no, I could probably hang out here for a bit, then you can stay. And then we're going to swivel. I'm going to do a little bit of swiveling. So when you swivel, what you'll find is that one of your feet, particularly the one that you're kind of swiveling towards, can comfortably get onto the floor. So if you're heels aren't coming down onto the ground, you'll find that this is a really good way to kind of engage them with the floor. Just notice how that feels. How does that feel in your hips? Oh, that wasn't someone's hip, was it? Okay, all good? That's pretty good, mums, actually. Yeah, you're all happy there. Okay, so how does it feel to hold it? Now, squeeze your pelvic floor muscles, suck them up. And just see how that feels. Can you imagine how easy that is going to be in terms of, like, you know, pushing a baby out in this position, as opposed to, you know, lying on the back or something like that. Okay, lovely. And then walk. Hands all the way forward. Stretch the right leg out, give it a little jiggle. Bring it down, stretch the left leg out, give it a little jiggle. And then step the right foot forwards. And then just have a little hinge forwards and backwards. And just ease yourself. Forwards and backwards. And then going to come sideways. So you're going to walk that right foot out to the side now. So you're kind of in a half squat position. And you're going to ease over to the side. You're going to drop over that way. You're in that space.
I'm just shuffling backwards.
So you might even be able to sort of straighten the leg on the way back. And then bending the knee again, just take the arms out to the side. You're going to breathe in, take the arms all the way out. And then on the out breath, just bring the hands all the way back down to the floor. Move them again. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale. Come down one more time. And slide that leg all the way back. And then step the left foot forwards. And just ease forwards and backwards here, just exploring the hip on this side. Notice if it feels different. So we are very commonly not symmetrical. And it's more often than not the case that stretches feel different on one side. So once you've done that, you're going to walk the foot out to the sides, and then you've got this kind of side lunge position, and then you're going to ease over to the side and back. So just shift your way over to the left and then back. And you might need to take the foot quite a significant distance, particularly if you want to get that straight leg stretch as you come back. Does that feel okay? Yeah, I'm happy. And then come into a neutral position, so your right thigh is vertical, the left shin is vertical, and then inhale, rise all the way up. And as you breathe out, bring the hands all the way down. And same thing again. And then here you can slide that leg back, give it a jiggle. Tuck your toes under, give space for your baby between your knees. Walk your hands back, lift the knees off the floor, and then drop the heels to the ground. And all you're going to do here is just dangle forwards. So release the head, release the shoulders, release the arms. Bend the knees and slowly uncurl. Come all the way up. Standing. Have a quick drink if you want one. It's the best time of the year nice. You'd have classes in this room. Get the sunset. About 9 o'clock this time, and you get the birds. It's lovely. It doesn't last long, because then it gets later. Okay, so I'm just gonna tweak that a little bit. So take the feet about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider. And then you're going to work with your ocean breath again, so just creating that little bit of restriction around your throat. And as you breathe in, take the arms over the head and cross the right wrist in front of the left wrist. And then as you breathe out, bend the knees a little bit, coming into standing squat and cross the right wrist in front of the left wrist. And then inhale, rise all the way up, left wrist in front this time. And then as you breathe out, come down, left wrist in front of. Okay, so we're just going to keep doing that. See if you can remember to swap from right to left. And if you want to, you can come down a little bit lower into your squat. So remember, when we're squatting, we want the body to stay as vertical as you comfortably can. It's not a forward bend. You want to feel the glutes working and the quads working. Water still intact?
Yeah. Thank you.
And then the next time you come down, and just relax. And then you're going to take the feet a little bit wider. So I'm going to come off my mat to show you, but you can come facing this way if you like, and then you've got the whole width of your mat. Lovely. So just taking a nice, easy stance to begin with. So this is similar to what we've just done in a kneeling position, but now we're doing it in our standing position. So this is the first level, nice and easy. You can support yourself with your hands. So the key thing when you do any kind of squatting is that the knees should go in the same direction as your feet. If they're not going the same way, the chances are you're going to tear a knee ligament, which is what happens to footballers, because their feet go one way, their knee goes another way, and they tear a cruciate ligament. So you want to make sure that it's all tracking. Next movement, if you want to, you can use your arms. And if you can go even lower, coming the hands to the floor. And just get a bit Spider-Man-like, and as Harriet's doing, you might even be able to lift your toes off the floor and just come onto the heel. So any variations of those moves are doing the same thing. And then come back to the centre, and then just bring your heels and your toes in, and then just uncurl. Have a little bounce, and chill. Okay, so now we're going to do just some standing squats, and we're also going to work our pelvic floor muscles. So when we do a lot of squatting, we want to make sure that our pelvic floor is holding everything in place. So pelvic floor squats are a tuck and a tilt. So what we want to do is tuck the tailbone under as we go down, and at the same time the pelvic floor, the fibres in the pelvic floor are gathering together. And then on the inhale, we want to slightly tilt the tailbone the other way. So essentially what we're doing is we're tucking, tilting, tucking, tilting. So it's not really much of a squat. We just want to really get that action through the pelvis. So tuck the pelvis under and then tilt it the other way. And you can do that with your breath. It's quite nice to breathe out as you tuck under. Breathe in as you tilt. So tucking and tilting. 2 more. Really feel that squeeze in the pelvic floor. And then come all the way up, and then you might need to jiggle the legs. This kind of rebounding movement is really good for getting rid of any tightness that you might have picked up in your leg muscles. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of a balance. So you might want to step off your mat if it's quite a thick, spongy one. You also might want to use the wall if you're feeling a little bit wobbly in your balance. So we're going to be standing on the right leg, so you can use the left hand against the wall. So make the right leg really connect with the floor, so spread the right foot as much as you can, and then soften the knee. So try not to lock that knee out. Now turn the left knee out to the side. And if your balance is quite wobbly, then maybe you can just leave the toes on the floor and rest your heel against the inside of your ankle. Otherwise you can slide the foot up into your shin. You might be able to go a little bit higher if the hips feel nice and open, and actually bring the foot to the inside of your thigh. The only place to not place that foot is over the inside of your knee joint, your right knee, because it'll hurt your cruciate ligaments. And then just float your arms out. You might have one hand against the wall, in which case just take the free arm up. Remember to soften the standing knee. Spread the foot into the ground. Give a little squeeze to your pelvic floor muscles. Gently lift the ribs away from your pelvis. And then gently broaden across your collarbones. Fix your gaze on the ground and let the breath flow. And then release. Gently come down. Very nice. Very nice. You might want to jiggle again, because that calf muscle on the right leg is going to feel a bit tight. And then the left leg is going to be the standing leg, so you're going to spread the foot, soften the knee, and then turn the right leg out. And again, you can just drop the toes to the floor, the heel to the inside of the left leg. The foot can come to the inside of the shin, or it can come to the inner thigh. Keep the left knee soft, let the arms float out to the side like the branches of a tree. Let the breath flow. Engage the pelvic floor muscles. Push the ground away with the left foot. Gently lift the rib cage away from your pelvis. And lightly broaden across your chest. Jiggle, little bounce. So we're going to have a bit of partner squatting. So this is actually quite a nice way of coming in and out of a squat, but you kind of have to give a lot of support to each other. So you're going to come down into a squat. Can I borrow you, Harriet? Is that okay? So what you're going to do is stand with your partner, hold hands, step away, take the feet where you want them, and then lean away. So lean back, more. So we're holding each other. Yeah, can you feel now? Pull away from me. Yeah, can you feel that? So what you're doing is you're actually pulling away from each other. So we're holding each other up here, and then you're going to come up. So you're leaning away. You're leaning away until you're creating this tension between you where you're holding each other up. What I would recommend, you need fairly similar height, but I think what would also be quite useful is if we have people towards the end of pregnancies coming together, because you don't want a early bird 20-weeker getting right, do you know what I mean, with somebody who's about to give birth. So if that makes sense, if you can go with somebody who's about the same level of gestation as you, just so that you both of you might not want to come down very far. So does that make sense? There should be someone for everyone. So you're about the same. Same weeks anyway. Yeah, perfect. Actually, Charlotte's about the same. So remember, you're leaning away from each other. So can you feel that? Yeah. Got each other. So make sure that you are holding each other. You shouldn't be using your own leg muscles. You're using each other as a counterweight. Oh yeah. You don't have to stay for very long. You're just trying the territory out. That's lovely. You see how deep that's Okay. So did that surprise you how far down you can actually get in these squats? So when you've got some support, and it doesn't have to be another person, you can actually hold on to the edge of your bed or your staircase or something that's pretty rigid. You know, put a strap around a tree and hold the two ends, and something that's going to really give you that support. So as long as you've got that, support, you can actually get down quite a long way. So the second one, this is one of our favourites. Can I borrow you again, Harold? Kitchen sink stretch. You're going to bend the knees, walk away from each other until, whoa, you lean away. So you can go back now, yeah? I just wasn't ready. So you're going to lean away gently from each other until, you feel all the vertebrae in your back being gently pulled away. So you want to have the back as parallel to the ground as you can. So you might need to bend the knees quite a lot. You might need to walk the feet a lot further away than you might think. Okay, ready? Yeah, come up. When you want to come up, talk to your partner. Don't just come up on your own. Yeah, so kind of a trial and error to walk back enough, and you want your backs nice and flat. Okay? So give yourself a lot of space. If you need a wall, make sure that you're not going to run out of room. So I would walk back a little bit more. Bend the knees, and now stick your bottoms away from each other. So lean away. Well, like grabbing onto a chair or a table. No. Stretch out. Lizzie, I'd bend both of them up just a touch, and then stick your bottoms away. Now put away from each other. That's better. Just notice how that feels now. You've had some quite big stretches today, but try to also balance on squatting out with some important stuff. So we're just going to do a couple of other things. So you can curl back down onto your mat, and we're going to sit, and then we'll go into relaxation. So if you want to get anything handy, like if you want to put your socks on or have a blanket, then have it all ready near your mat so that you can just straight away go into your relaxation. So the first thing we're going to work with, I'm just going to show you, is bridge pose. This is a counter pose to what we've been doing. So this is a little back bend. If you want to work your upper back, you can take your arms back behind you, but do make sure they're kind of in this position so that all of the arm touches the ground and you get a really nice stretch across your pecs, into your armpit and into your shoulders. If you have the arms too close together, the chances are they're going to be like this. It's going to feel tight and uncomfortable. Feet are hip width apart, and then you're going to gently push the feet into the ground, rise up, have a little jiggle here. So that first rise up, you might want to jiggle the hips around just to free the back up, and then gently peel all the way down. So then we're going to come up and down with our breath. So as you breathe in, push the feet into the ground, rise up, and then at the top of your inhale, just squeeze your pelvic floor. And as you breathe out, slowly peel all the way back down into the ground. And when you get all the way down, squeeze the pelvic floor again. So you're doing these little pulses of the pelvic floor muscles in between. So just do that a few more times. So breathing in, rise up, squeeze at the top, and then breathing out, peel all the way back down, and squeeze at the bottom. So just doing that a few more times. So this will be a really nice counter pose. And next time you come down, you can just completely release. If you want to have a final little bit of a stretch for the back, then what you can do is bring the knees up. Take them wide enough so that they come either side of your baby. And you can just hold your knees or hold your shins. And moving around here until you find the sweet spot. So maybe rolling from side to side, or perhaps placing your hands onto your knees and moving your knees towards you and away from you. And this can often get into parts of your sacrum and give them a little bit of a massage that can be quite therapeutic. So just finding whatever works. And then you're just going to come and lie down. So we're doing a lot of hard work, so I'm going to give you 15 minutes of relaxation. I imagine I'm going to be waking a few of you up at the end. So just make sure that you are as comfortable as you can be. So if you're more than 20 weeks into your pregnancy, then what you'll need to consider now is lying on your side. And that can be the right side or the left side. And there's a lot of stuff written about you must always lie on your left side. It's a bit of a nonsense, really. It doesn't matter. The left side or the right side is absolutely fine. And then supporting yourself wherever you feel that you need the support. So that could be between the knees. If you have any niggling around the pelvis, if you need a block, just put your hand up and I'll come and bring one around for you if you don't have anything. If you've got any niggling around the round ligaments in your abdomen, then you might prefer to actually place your pillow underneath your bump, and that will reduce the amount of tugging into your uterine ligaments. And any other release or relief feels good for you. So just take your time and just gently ease yourself down into the ground. Feel the support of the ground underneath your body. And this is often the first part of the relaxation. Just knowing that the ground is there beneath you, knowing that you have got full support for the whole of your body, can just allow you that possibility to completely surrender. So notice the parts of your body that touch the ground. Notice the connection between your ground and the leg. Notice the touch of the ground against your hip. Notice the touch of the ground against your side. Notice the touch of the ground against your shoulder. Notice the touch of the ground against the side of your head. See if you can relax your body by 5% more, so that you can really drop yourself into those places where the side of your body touches the ground. Noticing the feeling of the breath as it moves in and as it moves out. Tune in to the rhythm of your breath. And then tune into the feeling of the breath on the insides of the nostrils. As you breathe in, just feeling the touch of the air against the inner nostril. And as you breathe out, feeling again the touch of the air against the inner Noticing particularly the difference in the feeling. You might find that the temperature of the breath is slightly different. You might find there's a very subtle difference in the quality of your breath, or even in the length of your breath between your inhale and your exhale. And then the next time you breathe out, you can just let go of the watching of the sensations of the nostrils. And then move your awareness to the place behind your closed eyes, commonly known as the inner eye or the mind screen. And into that space, just bring into your imagination the image of an old tree. And this can be a tree that you might be familiar with. You can just create this image purely for yourself. Just notice how wide the trunk of the tree is, having been there for many hundreds of years. Notice the surface of the trunk. How does the bark feel? How does it look? Notice the branches extending upwards. Notice the tiny leaves gently emerging after the winter retreat. Feel the solidity of this tree, having been standing for hundreds of years, firmly rooted into the earth, providing strength, shelter, shade. And then just gently let that image of the tree gently dissolve away. And in its place, bring into your mind the image of a calm, still lake. Again, this may be somewhere that you know, or just a creation in your imagination. Notice the mirror-like surface of the lake reflecting everything around it. Feel the calmness that this lake brings. Knowing that although you can only see the surface, there is great depth to this lake holding life. Just being aware of its reflective qualities. then gently dissolving the image of the lake. And in its place, bring into your imagination a single, solitary candle flame. Fix your gaze on the gentle flickering of the flame. Representing the fire element, the bringer of light, heat. Just allow your awareness to rest on this image of the flame. Notice the little movements, the gentle flickering, the slight changes in colour. And then gently let that image dissolve away. And then finally, just bringing into your vision the image of a clear sky. Imagine that you can see for miles and miles of empty sky. Maybe the occasional little cloud drifting into sight. And feeling the vastness of the space in the sky overhead. Noticing the gentle breeze, gently moving through the air. And then you can relax the image of the open sky. And just embracing the qualities of all of those elements, the earth, the water, the fire, the air. And then beginning to gently externalize your awareness as we come towards the end of our practice this evening. Bring your attention back into your physical body, noticing all of the sensations that you can feel at the moment. Feel the ground beneath you, feel the air against your skin. Notice the sounds that you can hear. And take a long, slow breath in, and then just very gently sigh the breath away. Begin to bring a little bit of movement into your body. Start with your toes, give them a little wriggle, and then with your fingers, and then maybe stretching a little bit more. Maybe moving the ankles and the wrists, and then perhaps stretching through the whole length of your body. Moving intuitively in any way that feels right for you. And then when you feel ready, just gently ease yourself all the way back up until you're sitting. Just take a moment to observe how you feel in your body, in your mind, in your breath. Also checking in with your baby, feeling their presence, and sending them love. And we'll close our practice tonight, just sounding the 3 sounds of Om, letting them resonate in every part of your body. Choose to join in, take a breath. Thank you so much, Yogini Mamas. Namaste. Thank you.